We're in Cherokee, North Carolina on the Raven Fork River. Several months ago I finished completion of my fly rod and I've saved it for this day. We're going to try it out for the first time. I hope it works. Hopefully I'll catch my first trout ever on my first fly rod that I built. But while we're waiting for me to catch a trout, let's take a look at the construction of my fly rod. I decided early on that if I was going to build my own fly rod that I wanted to do everything, to build everything. And that would mean building the wood insert for the fly reel seat. So I had to find a burl. A burl is an outgrowth on a tree. Burls are often misunderstood as a diseased area on the tree. As it is, it's just a product of the cambium. A burl is only a burl if it's filled with small knots from dormant buds. These burls yield a very peculiar and highly figured wood. They're highly valued and used as veneers in furniture, picture frames, household objects, automobile interior paneling and trim, wood turning, and wooden inserts for fly rod seats. My cork handle would be 7 inches long, and since the cork rings were a ½ inch thick, I selected the best 14 of the 25 I had. Then I laid them out, numbered them in the order in which they would be glued. Using a caliper, I measured the diameter of the rod butt and then checked the diameter to my rasp file. The corks are actually tougher than they look, but I still needed to be careful that I didn't make the hole too big where the rings would be loose on the rod. Work slowly continued on filing down the center holes until I had all the cork rings test fitted to the rod, and now they're ready to glue. Alright, today I'm going to glue up the cork rings, or at least the first 12. We're going to leave the hood in the hood bottom so I can eat this out for the recessed hood of the reel seat. But we're going to go ahead and glue up all these. I've got them laid out. I got my glue ready because once I start I can't stop. I'm going to put them on this rod here, and then with the wing nuts and the washers I can squeeze them all together and keep them good that way for about 24 hours. Alright, here we go. Now I got all the cork rings glued together and I've got them clamped down on my rod here. Just have to leave them alone for 24 hours. Once they dry real good, I can work on the recessed hood cork ring, get it glued onto the rest of these, and then it'll be ready for the cork lathe, which will sand it all down and sand it into shape for the rod. Happy New Year. I'm going to work on the cork handle just a little bit today. I'm going to put it on my homemade cork lathe that you see here using Pawpaw's old drill, and hopefully we're just going to round the handle out a little bit and get it all one shape and kind of test to see how it works. We'll start shaping the cork handle later. Alright, the concept is simple. I'll use these strips of sandpaper to take off the first surface of the cork handle here while it turns on my homemade lathe. Now the trick is I don't want to take off too much too soon, so all I'm going to do today is just try to learn how to use this thing and try to smooth up this cork grip. Now it's going to be real rough until I use some more finer sandpaper to get it down, so we'll get started. Alright, it works real good, but man, it is dusty. Cork dust everywhere, but it smoothed it up in pretty short order. Later on, I'll actually work on the shape. Today we're going to try to shape the cork handle, so wish me luck. We've been able to get her nice and smooth the other day. It seemed pretty easy, but now we're actually going to shape it into what's called a reverse half well. And we'll see how it goes. I think that's got it. We've pretty much got the shape that we want now. I've sanded it down using 220. It's nice and smooth. Still got some pits in it, so I'll have to get some wood filler or some filler to go in there in the pits, and then we'll sand it down one more time. We'll be done with the cart grip that we made ourselves. I'm in the workshop of Elvis McGee. I'm using his lathe to turn my reel seat, my wood insert for my reel seat. I've actually been practicing. I've turned a couple of them. It's a lot harder than it looks, but we're going to jump into it and try to get one more done before we quit. Alright, I got it down to the right diameter. I need to trim for the threads, my reel seat, and then sand it up a little bit. I've got two here that I don't know, might be able to use. This one's probably the better of them. Excuse me. Dust. I've decided to go with the black cherry. Now, through a lot of sanding and added some epoxy base to the end, I've finally got a piece I can live with. Thanks to the power of the internet, I got my drying motor. We'll put it together here in a second and make sure everything works. There you have it. It's a slow turning motor that I'll actually put the rod or whatever I'm working on in that chuck, and then this is just to brace it wherever I need to brace it. It's a slow turning motor, so like when I put epoxy on it, as the epoxy or the finish or whatever is setting, this motor turning right here will keep the soft liquid flowing so it all dries and sets up evenly. Pretty cool. I'm going to put on my first coat of urethane on my wood insert for my fly reel seat. I'm going to use my dryer to get a nice even coat on it. So here we go. Okay, got the first coat on. Need to let it dry about 4 hours, and then I'll put a light sanding on it, and then maybe tomorrow or the next day whenever we get ready we'll do it again. And boy, that sure does look like it's going to be shiny. I've got my second coat of urethane on there, and boy, it has really brought the burl grain out of this black cherry. So I'm thinking that's probably two coats is probably going to be plenty. And it looks like it's been dipped in glass. The urethane's cured on my wood insert on this black cherry burl piece, and man, it looks good. So today I'm going to take the plunge and I'm going to epoxy the metal pieces of my reel seat to my wood insert to complete the reel seat. So the first thing I'm going to do is rough up the metal inside so that the epoxy will bond to it real good. Now I'll mix up the epoxy, mixing it real good, get a good consistency. Now I'm going to glue on the top part. And last, I'm going to glue on the bottom part of the reel seat and then let it set up, not mess with it for a little bit. I got my shipment from Cabela's. I got my fly rod wrapper kit in this box. Decided to be lazy today. I got a staff meeting later today, so I need to get percolating, but I thought I'd go ahead and put the rod wrapper together. I just drank a cup of coffee and I feel it kicking in. I feel better. Now it is later today. I know I'm dressed the same as I was a while ago, but I went to my staff meetings. It's actually about 4:20. I've just come home and gotten comfortable clothes again. What we're going to do now is, man, we're starting to work on the rod now. We're starting to work on some stuff that actually looks like a rod. I've got to find the spine, and the spine basically is the graphite rod's natural tendency to bend in. I want to find that area, and basically I'm going to put it on a little pressure and roll it. That feels like it right there. You see it jump? Right there. Now I'll mark it, the inside. That's it. Well, this is probably hard to see, but I'm going to see the rod just kind of found that natural inside curve. Boom, right there. It just kind of pops into place. Right there. Now I can mark it. Alright, here's some, I guess what you call do or die time. I've got the cork grip mocked up with the fly reel seat, just got it marked. And now I'm going to take this off, and basically I'll make a mark here where that is, slide the cork grip up, put some epoxy on it, and move it down into place. Let it dry. Put down a little bit. Got it slid down into place. Put it on the dryer and let it rotate 5 minutes and the epoxy's got it. So let's get it on the dryer. What you see here is called the tip top. It's basically the last loop on the end of the rod, and I went ahead and put a little epoxy in there and got it on there good, and used a little denatured alcohol to clean out any excess up there, and it's sitting up right now. I've begun probably one of the last steps of the rod build, but probably one of the more critical is I'm starting to wrap the guides with thread on here. I've got to make sure they're straight and all that stuff. Now I've already done the hook keeper that you see here, and I've chosen a black and gold color scheme to go with my dark green with gold guides. I'm hoping that'll really kind of stand out and go real good. But back here I've got the largest of the guides. It's not a snake foot, it's a regular circular guide. I've got it taped on, and we'll start wrapping. Well, there it is, my first wrap, and I went ahead and put the gold trim on it, the gold guide. Definitely gonna take some practice. I don't even know if I'll have the hang of it really by the time I get through putting I think there's 9 guides all together. But I've got the hook keeper and the first guide on, kind of getting the hang of it. We'll just see how it goes for the rest of them. Alright, I got 2 guides, the regular guide here and a snakefoot guide wrapped. I got the hook keeper, and I just figured since I was finished with this section of the rod, I'd go ahead and put some rod varnish on. It's a little harder than I thought to put on, but hopefully it'll all even out pretty good as it rolls on the dryer. I've been busy working on the mounting the guides on the upper part of the rod. I've got most of them done. I like just a few more to being done. I'm going to work on the second to last from the tip top, and then we'll be done. Be ready to add some more rod wrap to it. So let's get started. Got my thread started. I'm going to start winding it on the guide. Get kind of close to the guide here. I want to make sure it kind of steps up on the guide. Looks like it did. Keep it from overlapping on itself like it just did. Alright, I don't really worry about the gaps too much, because once I get the line on there I can go back with some kind of burnishing tool to kind of spread them out and even them out. Alright, I get pretty close to the edge there. I stop up underneath right there. I'm going to insert my little tag stream, a little piece of tag here. No problem. And we'll wind it up the rest of the way. Alright, about right there. Hold it with my finger. Take my trimmers, cut my thread, run it through my tag, which apparently is harder than it looks. Bam, there it is. Pull it through. I'll pull on down on it just a little bit to create just a small gap. Take my blade. There it is. Take my into my plastic X-Acto knife here, and here's where we kind of squash them all together. There it is. Now all I gotta do is add my gold trim, and we're done. So give me just a second and we'll finish up on the gold trim. Got my gold thread started. Trim off that tag. Start winding a little bit. I'm not going to do much, so go ahead and put my little tag in here. About 6 turns there ought to do it. Hold the thread. Now this gold thread is actually, it's kind of a gold metal of some kind on top of some nylon thread. It usually falls apart when I drag it through. Don't worry, see I can pull that out, but the main nylon part got in there. So we'll pull it back just a little, creating that little bit of a gap. Take my, ooh, be careful with my new X-Acto. I'll put a new blade on it, man, it is sharp. Accidentally cut something I don't need to cut. A lot of trouble there. And take my X-Acto here and kind of, as a burnishing tool, kind of
Put everything together. There it is. A completed guide with the black thread and the gold trim on it. And I've got one more to do, and we'll be ready for some rod varnish. Finish this project up. All the guides have been wrapped. I have placed rod varnish on all of them. And you can see here that that rod varnish really adds a whole lot of sheen and protection to the thread and holds everything on there real secure. I've added some touches to my rod now. You can see I dated it and I signed it. And I've also, right here, you can see that I have put the make and model, so to speak. It's a Rain Shadow RX-7 graphite. It's a 9-foot rod. It's a 7-weight rod. But here's my little special touch. I'm a Star Wars fan. I put the lightsaber icon on it. Much like my fly rod is my lightsaber for battling fish. I'm looking at one of the last steps to finishing the complete rod, and that's to put my reel seat on. And that's what we're about to do. So let's mix up some epoxy and slide it on there. Kind of got it roughed up a little bit so that the epoxy will have something good to bond to. So let's go ahead and smear some on there. I've got my denatured alcohol standing by that'll clean up any of the mess of the that I may cause with the epoxy. I don't want to put too much because it's the reel seat actually fits fairly decent on it. So. Alright, here we go. Let me check where the eyes are. Get it started. Oh yeah, a lot of excess there, so go ahead and get that kind of this denatured alcohol in here, kind of wipe off the goopy excess. Alright, looks good and lined up. Now I'm going to get some down inside of it, and I'll put the rest of the components on the part and let her set up. In case y'all want to see it, here goes the end cap. I'll turn it up just a minute. When that settles and dries, we'll be able to put the rod on it, put the reel on it, and basically we're done. We'll just have to wait till some warm weather. There you are. We'll have to wait till some warm weather to go fishing. We've been fishing on the Raven Fork now for almost of the day. It's about 3:10 and I've got very few bites. Got a little advice from the Smoky Mountain Outfitters, but fish just aren't biting. I think we missed this morning because we didn't know where the fish were. They haven't stopped. They hadn't stopped upstream where we've been fishing. So about to wrap it up. Might go hit the ponds here in a minute where Pop and Emma and Ian are, and maybe try some spinning reel there. But the rods performed real good. But I'm real pleased with the way it turned out, even though I haven't caught any fish. But that's okay, we'll keep trying. All right, back on home waters on Big Nance Creek. My fishing pole finally caught a fish. So, look at that. Okay, the rod has now officially been broke in. It might be a small bluegill, but it's a bluegill.